Hello and welcome to Nerve Check. I'm Ray, I'm the brains. I am not joined today by either Ben or John. However, I have a special guest, Paige from Newbie Dice. He runs an excellent podcast for Kings of War individuals looking to what is the latest and greatest on how to form your army, and he has advice for new people trying to learn the game. His channel is far more professional than ours. So if you want to see a real Kings of War podcast channel, go to Newbie Dice. If you just want to hear two people ramble about their recent trip to Clash UK and traveling across either the entirety of Asia or across the Atlantic Ocean, this is the podcast to listen to. Paige, thank you very much for coming on this evening. To everyone, you went to Clash UK, and I think your contingent won the award for longest distance traveled to get to Clash UK. How did you prepare to go for your flight from Singapore to the UK? Did you have any packing tips for your army? Did you have any, I can tell you how I planned it coming from Canada, but I'd like to hear your much longer and more intense travel coming from
Sure.
Singapore.
We were the furthest traveled to Clash of Kings UK for sure. I think in the past there's this guy Walt who you might hear on Mantic Universe podcast. He's an Australian that traveled to UK for Clash, but he didn't come this year. So we were the longest traveled, but we didn't win any awards. So we're like at the award ceremony, we're like expecting to go on stage. Steve Hughes to say, and the longest furthest traveled players are from Singapore, but no, it didn't happen. So like, a little bit bummed about that. We traveled all the way and we didn't get any award for that. But yeah, just a tease for Steve Hildrew. But how we prepared for the trip? It was a 14-hour direct flight, 14 hours long.
Okay.
If you take an overnight flight, it's usually cheaper because the flight would usually be more expensive because you get to sleep on the plane. So to save money, I took a morning flight. So we are 7 to 8 hours ahead of UK, depending on when their daylight savings is on. So we flew on at 9 a.m. from Singapore on a Thursday. So it's a 14-hour flight, but because of the 7 to 8 hours time difference, we landed in UK, in London, Heathrow at 4 p.m. 4 p.m.
Okay.
Right? So then I arranged an 8 p.m. train to Nottingham because you have to get out of Heathrow Airport. It takes a while. And then there was the tube strikes at the time. So we're not sure what got affected and what didn't, right? So that was one problem. So I purposely booked the train to Nottingham at 8 o'clock. And I think you know that we have to book these intercity train tickets in advance because the prices go up like crazy. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know
Oh.
that. So uh, I did the overnight. I arrived on
Mm.
Thursday, and we searched Google because we put on our eSIM. We said, how do we get to Nottingham? Because we didn't book that part. We had no idea how to get from Heathrow Airport
Right.
to Nottingham. And we got eventually to the train station because despite the UK having a tube strike in London, London still had better public transit than any place in North
Right.
America. And so you could still take a train somehow to get to the train station to go to Nottingham. But we show up and the lady's like, so it's going to be 160 pounds if you want to take a train to Nottingham. And we're like, well, that's a bit more than what we want to spend for
So
a
how
train
do you get to
ticket.
Nottingham?
And then I went to the kiosk and I was like, what happens if we just like take the Not Express? And so we got Not Express return for 80 pounds a person. So 40 pounds each way, which was much more reasonable, but it's still a fair
Yeah.
amount of money for train tickets.
Yeah.
I thought the UK was supposed to have cheap trains that ran on time, but I guess that isn't the
Yeah,
case.
that isn't the case. After I did some research, shout out to Steve. I did ask him many times on while I was planning the trip, asking for information, tips, and itinerary. So we had time after the, with such a long trip to UK, we decided to extend the trip and do some sightseeing. So just to say, there's three of us Singaporeans going to UK. One's traveling with the girlfriend, so it's me and James, which you have met a couple of times, being travel buddies for this trip. He left all the planning to me, so I just made all the decisions. So I asked Steve, who drew quite a lot of times on where to go, what to do, how to book the train tickets, and I watched a couple of YouTube videos for guides. Just a side note, I love YouTube a lot. I watch a lot of things on YouTube. Yeah, at one point I'm not sure if it still is. At one point, it's the second biggest search engine in the world. It's not a search engine, but it's the biggest. Number one being Google. When people look for information, number one they search on Google. Number two they search on YouTube. Yeah, I love YouTube a lot because of the way they reward creators, right? If you have a substantial following and whatnot, you get to earn money off of YouTube, and that encourages people to put authentic content, really helpful content. That's why it's a good search engine. When you ask for tips like how to do, how does the UK train system work, you find quite a couple of guide videos. So that's when they said you have to book in advance. If not, you'll be very expensive. And then like you have to book the specific time slot as well, because I was a bit nervous. Like, what if my plane gets delayed? So then I tried to check for what you call, I forgot what's the terminology for it, but basically you can take any train within that day, and the price was like double or
Yes.
triple. I was like, what? No, no, no. Let me just select a safe timing. And like 8 o'clock was past rush hour, so that time slot was cheaper. So I was like, okay, I land in Heathrow at 4. I need some time to get my bags, to get my luggage, right? And then I know Heathrow is a far ways off from the city, so we still have to figure out how to get there. We did not buy a ticket for that, but thankfully the usual transit systems still work. We took a you could take this normal metro called the Elizabeth line, but we took the Heathrow Express, which is an express train to the London area, but we still have to make it to St. Pancras station. So we still ended up on the Elizabeth line
Yes.
after that. So we don't know if we got cheated by the Heathrow Express person that sort of claimed that, hey, it's a fast trip. So but that was that, and we'll have to struggle onto the Elizabeth line during rush hour. So it was like packed with people getting in and out of the stations. We're figuring out. Yeah, so 8 o'clock. I'll work backwards to preparing for the trip, but since I'm here, I'll just talk about that. So we reached London City about 6, and then by the time we got to St. Pancras was like 6 plus. So I also figured that if we were early at the station, we can grab dinner, right? So that's that. And then I think it was a 2 or 3 hours journey to Nottingham. I think it was 2 hours plus minus, and we reached there at 10 p.m. And then we just took the tram to our hotel, which was the Premier Inn. It is just one tram station from the venue of the tournament, which is one of the recommended uh, hotels that Steve recommends. So we checked in at about 11 o'clock at night, and then you add.
So you stayed at the premiere that was pretty close
Yeah,
to the
the
event.
multiple Premier Inns. Jake Cherapika told me he booked the wrong one that was far away.
Yes, I booked because planning was not my strong point on this trip. I was like, Jake, Alex, because there were 2 people from Canada and 4 people from
Uh-huh.
the US. And I was like, which hotel are you guys staying at? And Jake was like, we're staying at this Premier Inn. And I was like, okay, we'll stay at the same Premier Inn as you. And sure enough, it was the farthest Premier Inn on the tram line. So it was a 30-minute tram to come into and out of the main part of the city each
Right.
day.
So you stayed with the
Um,
same Premier
it,
Inn as Jake.
yes, which was not a good idea. So you showed up on Thursday. You get there at roughly 10. Time zone. You're
Yeah, so
probably tired
we
by this
reached
point.
Nottingham Premier Inn at about 11 at night. So if we add the time difference to Singapore, it's 8 hours. So it would have been 7 a.m. the next day, which was the time that we arrived at the airport in Singapore. So it was a 24 hours journey because you have to arrive about 2 hours early before your flight, right? So it was pretty much a 24 hours journey, and we thought we'll be exhausted. So the thing about taking a morning flight is you are not sleepy. You're not going to sleep on the plane. So 14 hours of maybe a few power naps in between, but you're not going to have a long sleep, right? So like 14 hours of watching movies on on the plane, and we thought we'll be tired. So 11 p.m. Nottingham time, right? I woke up like 4 a.m. the next day. So like I only slept 5 hours after missing one whole day of sleep. So
So my trip was a little bit different because we departed 7 p.m. ish on
uh,
Wednesday. We flew overnight, landed 6 a.m. in England because as much as it was a 7 hour flight, we then
yeah.
lost 4 hours and it magically became 6 or 7. Got our way to the train station, arrived there at 8:30, found out the price of tickets, and we're like, okay, I guess we can't leave till 10:05. So we went for breakfast, but my internal clock was completely
Mm,
screwed up. So Nathan sits there and he's like, you know what? I would like to have pancakes and coffee and orange juice for breakfast. And I look at the beer and they're like, of course. And because I'm still on, like, this is 3 in the morning and it's party time.
yeah.
So we arrive in Nottingham, get to the hotel, drop everything off. And for us, the first stop we did that day was to go with Jake and Alex to the Warhammer World, which
Yeah.
for anyone, did you ever end up going to Warhammer World or?
We did on the Monday after the tournament.
So I thought it was actually the dioramas were super cool to see. Like we spent a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time there, and for anyone who's going to Nottingham, especially if you can go without your girlfriend or wife or significant
Uh-huh.
other, like do Warhammer World that way because we went through it once. We stopped, we had a drink or two or three, and then we went through Warhammer World a second time to just try to see all the sites and figure out which ones we liked and didn't like. And we probably could
Mm-hmm.
have gone through it a third time and just caught
Wow.
things. And after we did that, we did uh, the oldest pub that's attached to the Nottingham Castle for dinner.
Yeah, I went there Monday, one of the nights. Oh no, I went there for Monday lunch, I think.
So,
Yeah,
so your
Ye
Monday was like
Old
my Thursday.
Jerusalem Tavern or something like that,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
which it was fun, but
Mm.
by 8 or 9 o'clock at night, because I had been up since Wednesday, I am just
Uh-huh.
crashing. Which is why, as much as I was supposed to meet you, and I'm glad I didn't fully communicate that because we were at different hotels, and I thought you were at the same hotel as me. So
Yeah.
I'm messaging you, going like, "How about we meet up when you get in?" And
You
it
stay at
never
Premier Inn,
crossed.
I stay at Premier Inn too, but
Yeah, no, so that didn't work. So Friday morning comes, you're running on 5 hours sleep. I've had 8 or 9 hours of sleep in 36 hours. And what was on your to-do list? I think we both went to Nottingham Castle.
yeah. So I was still, my body clock was pretty much screwed up, right? So Thursday, Friday morning, I woke
Friday.
up at like 4 a.m. And because I'm self-employed, nothing to do, I whipped out my laptop, cleared some work until like 6 or 7, and then James and I we went down for breakfast. Then we decided to head down to basically Nottingham City Center to take a look. We went there, looked at the town square and all that, took some pictures because, like, European architecture, right? Like even the normal buildings, like this is beautiful to to us. It's like wow, so snapping pictures of like very medieval looking buildings and We also visited Element Games there. It's a very small store. I think it has bigger stores elsewhere, but it's just one store, no gaming area, but they do carry quite a lot of stuff from hobby brands. Pro Acryl is something that's not in Singapore, so I had a friend who said, "Oh, can we buy some Pro Acryl paints?" Okay, so then we're like, okay, it's like 10 a.m. We're pretty much done. We're supposed to head to Mantic at 12, after 12, because Tobias said, please only come after 12 because they're busy in the morning. So we walked to Nottingham Castle, which was not too far away. I think we reached there at 10, but it opens at 11 or something like that. We were 1 hour early. So we looked around the outside. It's like, how much is it to get in? $20 or something like that. It was like,
Yeah.
so like, doesn't look that big. Then we're like, do we want to wait and then go in? And then if we go in, we are only going to spend an hour or so there. Then James and I were like, nah, let's skip it. So I just took the pictures outside the castle, which I thought was pretty funny. It was like the siege of Nottingham starts today. I took a picture of me charging at the castle gates, and then I posted it on Fanatics. So it's quite funny. Then we just hanged around. We walked back to the city center. I was like, okay, time to head to Mantic. So speaking of which, we were carrying our army cases. So let's rewind to the preparation of we went to how we went to um, made this long trip to Nottingham. That is, so I famously within my community, I don't like to have army travel cases. What do you call them? Right?
Display
With
boards.
not display boards, the carrying case,
Oh,
carrying case solutions.
yeah.
Because I find with the foam and all that, right, it gets very very bulky. And of course, usually I don't travel so far to play. You just travel to the game store to play, right? And in Singapore, being very densely populated, most of us we don't own cars. So if I were to want to play, I would have to carry my army out with me. And if I have work in the daytime, I will have to carry it with me to work and then carry it to the game store. So I always find carrying cases very bulky and just doesn't work. So I like to pack my army as small as possible. So when I'm carrying it around in Singapore, I usually put it. My philosophy is if you pack it so tight that it doesn't rattle, then that is good packing. So I usually like to stuff my units together, put some plastic sheets, tissue paper, newspaper, or whatnot to cushion them. But I will just like stack them up on each other until it's very packed that it doesn't have any room to budge. So that also compacts everything. So for this trip, I don't have a carrying case, so I just had a plastic box basically where you throw stuff and toys in plastic box, and I just stack my units. So one unit will go this way, the other unit will go the other way, upside down, right? So upside down, so the base upside down, and then the models would stack on top of each other, right? That is nice and tight, and then I put newspaper on top, crumpled newspaper for
Yeah.
cushioning. And then when you close everything and you give it a bit of a shake and nothing rattles, I'm like, all right, it's secure. That's it. So that's how I brought this. It's a plastic box which I use as a carry-on. Initially, I wanted to put the whole box into my luggage so that uh, so that when I'm moving around, because I know I'll be traveling a lot around UK on trains, I only have one luggage that I have to roll around. Then for the flight, I'll take the army box out and be a carry on for me. So that's how it initially started. I had a small and large luggage, but then the large is too big and the small couldn't fit the box and my clothes. So I went to specifically bought a medium sized luggage. Fits nicely. The box takes up half the luggage and then my clothes takes up the other half. I was glad with that option because by the end of the trip, we bought quite a bit of stuff, and then the Clash of Kings goodie bag was pretty huge. It has you get one army box, and then you also get what do you call it, the messenger bag and this and that. So it took up quite a lot of space. So by the end of the trip, I had to have my army box out the whole time because the luggage is full. Yeah, so worked well enough. So as long as you carry on your army bag, I think that's the safest thing you can do for a trip. Never check in your army bag.
I
Yeah.
completely agree with you about not checking in your army bag. I took the opposite approach of you, and probably that would be worthy of a video because I have a army transport case, a 720, which I bought more than 10 years ago, and or sorry, 432. But I didn't have the pluck foam, and buying the foam from Battle Foam that's all specifically like cut out is relatively expensive, about
Mm-hmm.
$30 US a tray. So I went
Mm-hmm.
onto Amazon and I was like, maybe Amazon sells like the exact size foam, and then I could just work it out. So sure
Mm-hmm.
enough, Amazon sells 2-inch thick pieces of foam that are the exact size you need for the army transport boxes. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I have solution one, I have the foam. And then I did solution two, which was I did a layer of plastic. So I bought plastic, which Amazon sells, the exact size I need. So I then hot glue
Right.
gunned it to
Mm-hmm.
the foam to the plastic. I plucked out what I needed, put my units in, and I could make each tray piece for about less than $5.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to do that. And right now, the Army has gone on 4 flights. And in the duration of 4 different flights, I've only had one infantryman come off the base. So I'm really happy with that solution. And I will do that solution for my next Army because I won't have to keep this Army in that case. I can pull the Army out, get new foam because it's really cheap, put the Army in, and then I have it set to go.
Right.
Um,
Uh,
but
so
I
did you
also
check in your luggage? Did you
no, no, no,
check in
no.
the army box? No. All right.
Um, and even display boards, it's really dangerous because going to the U.S. Masters this year, I believe one of the individuals from Texas flew, and his display board melted because it was left on the tarmac for 3 hours in the summer heat, and
Right.
he had components of it melt. So do not check in your luggage, even if you're on a plane, Nathan, and they offer to take your checked luggage and sorry, carry on luggage and check it for you. Don't do that because you don't know how they're going to treat your army. And that Nathan did that, and then his army got damaged coming home
Yeah.
because
Definitely, they're just gonna just lug and toss it onto the conveyor belt and stuff like that. It's not
it
gonna
was
survive.
it was not worth it. So I did Nottingham Castle on Friday morning. I paid the £15, I think, for the year long pass. And then we paid an additional £8 to get the guided tour. I thought the guided tour was really worthwhile for me because they you have your guide. He gives you the 3 stories about why the castle is important, why it's no
Mm.
longer really a castle. And after that, I also went out to Mantic headquarters where I saw you and we got
Yeah.
to finally hang out. Is we jumped in on the tour that you were getting at the headquarters.
Yeah. That was pretty great. I think the the biggest part of that tour was Ricky himself, the resin guy. He's so passionate, right? You listen to him explain the process, and he really goes into the details, and he doesn't sound bored at all. He was like so happy to share the entire process of how the resin miniatures get made, and then now Mantic is experimenting into different types of resin, right? I think they have 3D prints and Unicool. So these are two newer forms of resin technology that they're making their miniatures from. So that was the best part about the that Mantic tour, was to listen to Ricky share so passionately. And he's like Tobias said, he's very generous with his time, because he spoke for almost about an hour, I think, just talking about resin. And then we had all our questions, and he was like, I can see the glimmer in his eyes, like, wow, I'm so happy you asked that. So like, oh, you guys know your stuff, right? So he shared more, and yeah, so that was the best part of the Mantic tour for sure, and of course the resin making facilities, which is just like a dark room in the corner with splatters everywhere. It's a bit of a mess, but that's how your miniatures get made, guys.
And that was it. Like, we jumped on the tour with you because I think we arrived about 20 or 30 minutes late at 1:30.
Mm,
And like you said, Ricky was talking about all of the resin making process and how he does it, and it was great. Very different experience from the, I went to Games Workshop the day before to see the dioramas, and everything's clean, everything's neat, everything. We're both recording on our ends.
right.
So, but the tour was good, and then afterwards, you got a game in that afternoon.
Yeah, I got a game in with Marcelo, which I was happy to play against, and yeah, because I got him on my show once, so he knew me. So I was like, "Hey, Paige, would you like to get a game?" I was like, "Sure." And you got a game in with my buddy James, didn't you? So,
Yes, and I got to lose against James, which is always a good way for me to start a tournament because then I get the loss out early. Um,
yeah,
but
I actually appreciate losses because every time you lose, you you harp about it. You think about those games that you lose a lot more than the games that you win, and you will always go back and question yourself: what could I have done better? What should I have done? Um, to be able to make that loss into a win, and you definitely reflect more about your losses than your wins.
absolutely. So then,
Mhm.
what did you end up doing that Friday night?
Wow.
We went to a
We,
pub where it was £2 for a drink, and
yeah, wow.
it was the university pub, and we got told to go there. And for anyone coming from out of the country, their Friday night hangout at Clash UK is the university pub. It's around the corner from where the event is
From the
held.
correct Premier Inn.
Yeah, from the correct Premier Inn. So stay at the correct Premier Inn or the Holiday Inn that's pretty close to the event, and then you can walk there. It was a
I,
pound ninety
I,
nine, so like two and a
oh, I
half
didn't
dollars for
know
a
it was.
drink, and if you wanted a pop, it pounds 15. So it was cheaper to drink alcohol than it was to drink pop, and food wasn't bad, and everyone who was there who was over the age of 25 was playing Kings of War, and everyone who was there who was under 25 was at the university,
Right.
and it was very crowded.
Yeah,
So
Gooseberry
um,
Bush, is that the one? That's
yes, Gooseberry
we
Bush,
didn't we didn't go there in the end
and
because so after the games at Mantic, it was like 7 or 8 o'clock where we when we left, right? So
yeah,
me and James, we went to a pizza place to eat pizza, which was quite mediocre despite the good Google reviews. Then we head back to the hotel. I was messaging with Jake. He was at the pub, right? So, but
yes.
by the time we were done with dinner and we were back at our hotel, I think the crowd was dispersing already. So we did not end up going to the pub. So yeah, so we didn't go to that pub the whole time we were there. Saturday, I think there were a lot of people who went to the pub after the games as well, after Ronnie's address. But Saturday night was when I crashed, when the time difference finally caught up with me. I woke up early on Friday. I woke up early on Saturday. I got my 3 games in, and then after that, after dinner, was like where I was so tired, so I just went straight back to the hotel and crashed. That was when, unfortunately, the most supposed to be the most fun night of it all was where my jet lag sets in and I just crashed.
Well, it's funny because from my perspective, the Saturday night was quieter than the
Yeah,
Friday night.
right.
The Friday night we went out pretty hard, drank an awful lot, which you're not supposed to do before you go into the tournament on Saturday, but that's what we did. And the Saturday night, we were much more responsible. And then the Sunday night, Alex and I were very irresponsible as we closed at least 3 bars down in Nottingham.
Sunday night.
Sunday night, we
Wow.
went out drinking again, and we began at one bar and it closed at like or stopped serving at 11. Then we went to the next one. They stopped at midnight. The next one they stopped at 3. And at that point in time, we decided it's probably time to head back to the hotel.
Right. My
So,
my alcohol constitution and James are not very high, so most Asians, I think we were not good drinkers. There are exceptions to the case, of course, but me and James were like average drinkers. We get one or two drinks, and that's about it for the night. So
well, and that's probably much healthier than what we were doing. So you were smart. We were not. Like that's not a bad
we
thing,
we did
but
bring
we just wanted to celebrate.
we did bring our entire Singapore country's worth of Mantic points on Friday to change for lots of stuff, because like, guys, give us all your Mantic points. We're gonna just trade it all this at Mantic. So we got a bunch of figures. I think 10 to 20 figures, which translates to a lot of points, right? And I even got the Goblin Blaster deal. That was the rum. It takes 50 points and £20 on top of that. So I got that, and me and James, we started drinking since Friday at Mantic, and and throughout the trip we slowly drained that bottle of rum. Of course, on top of beers and whatnot that we have been having uh, at our eating places. So yeah, Saturday we crashed. Sunday, it was so strange. I felt when Sunday, like after the award ceremonies, like suddenly everyone dispersed. I was like, oh, isn't there discussion on what we're gonna do afterwards? But I think most of the Europeans are trying to get home. Um,
Yes.
yeah, if you're living in UK, you're probably gonna have work on Monday. If you're living in other parts of Europe but near enough, they might be taking a trip back so that they can start work on Monday. So everyone dispersed pretty fast. So we just went back. The Singapore contingent, we just went back to the hotel. We ordered some food in, and that was it. We were still pretty tired, right? Because still the jet lag. Saturday we crashed. Sunday we were quite exhausted. We made friends with the Austrians, so they were staying at the hotel. So after we rested for a while, James got a message from the Austrian say, "Hey, are you guys at the Premier Inn? We're at the bar within the inn." So we just went downstairs, hung out with them for about 2 hours, and then head back to bed. Was our Sunday night. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk about the main topic, which was how was your experience at Clash UK?
I was very happy to go to Clash UK. Um,
Uh huh.
and I was very fortunate this year to have gone to both the US Masters and to Clash UK.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, there was a big difference. I would say Clash UK, the social scene of Kings of War, where you have
Yeah.
everyone from around the country, from around the world. I got to see you. I got to see people from South America, from all across Europe, you know, come together one spot. And I think 50 of us roughly were international and only about
Mm-hmm.
100, 150 from the UK. But
Mm-hmm.
even that, like, I don't get to see anyone from the UK because it's across the ocean. So for me, that was the appeal of Clash UK, was to come see everyone. Um, I'm not going to go through the games, but for me, my games were very lopsided. I had massive wins and I had massive losses, and I had nothing in
Right.
between. Um,
Right.
and it was a very different experience where um, the U.S. Masters, which is a invitational tournament where you have to qualify through your season, um, was much more still had the social element, but it was, you know, most of the people in the US, North America, Canada, because you've played against each other year after year. Um, and the games tended not to have the disparity, because one of the things I found at Clash UK was you had everyone from those who've never played Kings of War or played it just once a year to those who've won Masters, won tournaments, and are playing in the same tournament. So you had a wide gap in
Mm.
experiences. So for me, the greatest part was just being able to see everyone. That venue was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. Much like you talk about the photos of, you know, taking the pictures of all the European architecture,
Yeah.
being in a school that was established in 1513, meaning it's essentially 100 years older than any city in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
like was like jaw dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the experience. I love the atmosphere. I love the exposure. Um, I loved being able to meet everyone from all the other nations. Um, Probably looking ahead, I'll probably try to coordinate. If I'm fortunate enough to go back in 2 years' time, I would probably try to coordinate with everyone who's coming in from out of the UK to say, like, here's the hangout Friday night, here's the hangout Sunday night, just so that you don't get lost where you're like, the awards are over, like, where's everyone going? You know, we can kind of pre acknowledge, like, if you want to come out, come out.
Mm.
But it was a lot of fun. You guys had amazing team T-shirts with your Singapore
Yeah, like,
flag on it.
and it's red, so
The
it's quite outstanding because I think most people went with sort of a black T-shirt with designs, so the red really stands out. Yeah, our flag is red and white with a crescent moon and 5 stars, so that's on our T-shirt design. Singapore is actually uh, in the native language. Singa is actually means lion because some prince of Indonesia came to Singapore and he claimed to have seen a lion, but we know lions are usually in Africa, so we're not sure if he's seen the wrong thing. Could have been a tiger because we do have tigers in Singapore back in the day. But basically, he named the place Lion City. So Singapore is actually Lion City, from the native language translated, right? So we have a, I think, do we have a lion? I think we have a bit of a lion on the jersey and our names. Yeah. So we made that earlier this year when we went up to Clash of Kings Asia, which was held in Malaysia. So so in preparation that we are most likely planning to come to Clash of UK, we made the jerseys. We made most of us made two because we know that we can wear it Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. So
So that was very smart of you. Being the Canadians, we didn't do that. And what I didn't realize was that in the European culture, in the European method of playing, like trading T-shirts, passing T-shirts, handing out T-shirts, especially if you're Denmark and or Norway and you're passing out your Vikings of War T-shirts to literally everyone, is a
wow.
thing. So going back 2 years from now, I'm going to make sure I have proper Team Canada T-shirts, red and white for us, and that we have some T-shirts that we can hand out to other people that we play or that we're up against, because it was an exposure as to a bit of the culture that I wasn't aware of. So when people ask, you know, what's one of the trinkets, gadgets, etc., a really cool nationalistic team shirt that's not black, so you can
Yeah.
stand out in the crowd, is what I'm definitely thinking about going
You need
ahead
a
in two
giant
years
maple
time.
leaf, man. That has to be there.
Now, what was your thoughts of going to Clash UK, and how did it compare to the other tournaments you've been to?
So I did make a trinket that I was wanting to give out at the tournament to all my opponents and with extras to give out even more. But it arrived in the day that I flew, so I couldn't bring it over. It's like, oh my goodness. And the guys who made it, the laser engravers, they're like the courier is usually never late, and this is the first case late. And I was like, this is the most important time that it should not be late. So it arrived after I flew. So this is the trinket that I had.
Oh, that is awesome.
But I'll bring it with me. I made quite a lot of it. I think 80 pieces. So I will bring it with me to other international
Yeah.
events to give out at. So I was quite bummed. I was quite pissed with the engravers that they couldn't get it to me in time. So yeah, but let's talk about the tournament. It was my first time to a 2 day GT, 6 games, 2 days. Uh, Clash of Kings Asia this year was the first 2 day GT I went to, but it was 5 games because 20 over players, so you didn't need 6 games, right? So yeah, so first time to a 2 day GT, and it's first time to such a big event, almost 200 players, right? So uh, I was happy to see so many people, and at the same time, I didn't see some of the people that I wanted to meet. I was like, shucks. After I came back on the trip, oh shucks, I forgot to meet this guy. I forgot to meet that guy. Yeah, so a lot of them I knew from a lot of these people I knew online, right? Even yourself. Yeah, through I used to play a lot on in the UB tournaments, the Universal Battle tournaments. That's how I know the international scene and the players. Yeah, so I was previously very competitive. That was before I had my kids. Basically, kids do slow things down, and now I hardly play on UB because
Absolutely.
no more time to play on UB. Um, but back then, I was very competitive. I placed pretty well in some of the international tournaments. I think that's why how we start to recognize uh, each other's names, and then we sort of start to hang out. I also hang out a lot on After Dark back in the day, so that is the counter charge hangout online hangout place. It used to be on Google Hangouts. Now it's on Discord. Yeah, so that's how I know a lot of people from the US. More from the US, and then from UK is mainly through UB games and tournaments because of my time difference with UK usually doesn't work out. So when I hang out on After Darks on weekday mornings, it's nighttime over there in US and Canada, whereas you guys are after work and you go on a hangout. For me, my work is a bit more flexible, so I get to hang out in the mornings. Yep. So yeah, I was happy to see a lot of people, but some people I forgot to meet. Um, the best part was to meet the people, right? Because it's the first time I meet a lot of them in the flesh, including yourself, Marcelo, Alex Chavez, Jake Charapika, even the US crew, right? And then the UK players. Steve came to Singapore last year or this year. I think this year. He was on an Asia trip with his wife. So his wife is Chinese, so I think they went to China to visit family, and then he managed to convince the wife to do a stopover in Singapore for a couple of days. Basically, that was what happened. So he came over earlier this year. We hung out. Just nice. I think it was Selig from the Direct Misfire podcast, the Australian. He was in Singapore for work on the same weekend, so we met one evening all together. There was like 3 content creators from 3 continents meeting for a night of beer, chatting, and then uh, and Sally has to go back after. So and he shared that Direct Misfire, no actual numbers, but their viewership can rival Countercharge, which is quite amazing. Yeah. So for me and you, small time creators, Steve is relatively large as well. I think it's his persona, right? His larger than life personality. He's so energetic and chirpy all the time. So I think that's his draw, so to speak. So yeah, meeting all the players, and I was actually a bit surprised by how sort of fast everything went. Like, the morning you had this first briefing, sort of briefing, right? Just a quick introduction from Steve, and then, all right, go play your games, and then you're just in the thick of games. And then the second day, when the award ceremony was so quick, I was like, okay, 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 and then everyone dispersed. I was like, oh, it's over. It's like, okay. So I was I I would thought there would be more of people gathering, but between games I was so busy just moving around and saying hi to people between each game. And I'm not a fast player, so usually when I finish my game, there's not a lot of time left. So even the lunch break, I was spending a lot of it walking around just saying hi to people, because there's just a short 2 days to between the games to talk to people, right? And day two, after lunch, right, when I went to my table, my opponent was Mario. He was he's a Spanish. So I was like, Mario, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna sit down for a while because I've been walking the whole lunch. I'm gonna sit down for a while because the lunch hour is not over yet. So like, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna sit down for a while to rest my legs because I'm gonna be standing up again to play. So yeah, that was that's the best part about the trip, was to meet everybody basically from the people that you talk to online quite often. A few that I didn't get to meet, Cybran, I didn't get to talk to him in person. Matt Gorham as well. I think both of them were in the committee on top of playing in the organizing committee. That's why they said they were really busy. I think they said hi. They saw me, but I think uh, I'm the Asian that sticks out in the crowd. So compared to the Europeans and the Americans, I'm like, oh, okay. It takes me a while to recognize people. So they said they saw me moving around, but they didn't have the chance to come say hi to me. A lot of people recognized me from my channel, which was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I have been doing videos for a while, but the viewership has never been high. The videos tend to get 200 views on average. Uh, After the first few months, of course, over the lifespan of the videos, it slowly creeps up. But most of my battle report videos get in the range of about 100 to 200 views. And according to YouTube statistics, they always say that not a lot of people finish watching the video. so there might be people who click and just watch for a few minutes and just tune out afterwards. So it was a very pleasant surprise that a lot of people recognize me. So I was like, oh, I'm a minor internet celebrity. So like, feeling good about that. It's like 200 people watch my videos. The 200 people here, because there's 200 players here, right? That most of them recognize me. So I was like, pretty happy about that for sure.
So, on that note, um, I guess would you give any recommendations for somebody who wants to come to Clash UK? Plan early, plan your trip, book your train tickets early, stay at the correct hotel. Don't stay at the wrong
Yeah.
hotel. Make plans in advance so everyone knows where to go for hangouts, particularly Friday and Sunday night for international people. And I think both of us agree that the best part of it was the hangouts, being able to see everyone, from an international perspective in the Kings of War universe, all in one spot, playing games, having
Yes.
fun.
So let's talk about the planning part. Yeah, I'm not a planner as well. Usually when I go on trips with my wife does, she loves to plan the trips. So I sort of know what she does. So like I was procrastinating quite a bit, but in the end I had to do the homework, right? You go on to you go on the Google Maps to check the journeys, and then you go on the train websites to book the tickets, and then you go to the hotel booking sites to book the hotels. Fortunately, Google Maps is pretty good on that. When you search the hotels, it gives you the rates from different websites. Just click on the cheapest one and just head into it and just book from there. So yeah, I always check Google Maps to make sure, yeah, this is the correct one. Okay, the university is here. The Premier Inn is this one. So yep. Um my but even then I procrastinated a little bit because I was pretty busy with work at the period of time that I was supposed to plan for the trip. So uh we had the other buddy who went with the girlfriend. They booked the Premier Inn pretty early. So by the time I got around to booking it, I think it cost about $100 more for the total for the stay, not per night, no, but for
Yeah.
that Thursday, Fridays, yeah, for the few nights, yeah. Um, yeah, so definitely, the hotel and ticket plane ticket, train ticket prices go up like stock prices. It goes up, doesn't come down because the nearer you are to the journey is usually going up and up, right? So plan it early. Yeah, and I think it's very international, Clash UK, but I think the funny thing is you usually don't recognize the Europeans that are in the non English speaking European countries, because I think they have their own community, the Italians, the Spanish, um, the the Germans,
Germans. We
the
hang out with the Germans.
Polish. The Polish are really strong, right? They won the best team of, I think, three or four of them are in the top 10. They're really strong. So yeah, usually you don't know them, but usually you know the what do you call it, the people from UK. They are, because they are also very active on fanatics and whatnot, right? So most of it is the UK people that we recognize. Yeah, and so it's still great, and the level of competition can be very high because of the Europeans. I think for the Europeans to travel to UK to compete, most of them are very high level players, the best in their country. So there are a lot of high level players, especially from the European countries. They are they, they travel there to play. They are there to win. so so that's the tough. Those are all the tough matchups for sure.
So